I'll be taking just 1 minute introducing Professor Arpan. Uh, Maybe like many those who are into social media, maybe in touch with Professor Arpan, maybe knowing, but for the rest of the delegates, I have the pleasure of introducing a most dynamic academician and perhaps the young successful researcher, and I'm really personally amazed and surprised. All his publications have surpassed more than 1600 citations, and we all from our generation, Saswat, Professor Panda, or maybe Murali, we are really amazed. Great future ahead. And he's presently the associate professor in information systems area, Department of Management Studies, IIT Delhi. And another important point is through research project, he has already generated over 17 crore of rupees kind of thing. It's a great mark, another kind of thing. And we all wish you all bright future, all success academically. I won't take much time. Arpan is having another important meeting. Over to you, Arpan, please. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for inviting me, Professor. It's actually a great pleasure to deliver this talk. Would I be able to share my screen now? Yeah, so it was a pleasant surprise when I got invited for delivering this talk. And as you know, today what I'll be sharing, it's more like some kind of a research that we have initiated for the last 4 or 5 months, and a slice of it. The slice of it, what I'll be presenting is more attuned, a little bit of case towards how the impact of COVID-19 is seen on academia, or if you look at it, we are also an industry. We are also the academic industry. How does it, impact us as practitioners in this academic industry? So when I started this work, the motivation was that there was a lot of turbulence in the industry. We keep hearing people are increasingly working from home. We keep hearing that there is a huge amount of turbulence. So if you look at United Nations, it has said that already 5% shrinkage in the economy in terms of GDP is going to happen globally. A lot of economic slowdown is going to happen, and there has been lots of job losses. As an example, if you look at the population of United States, it's about, just about 40 crore, less than 40 crore actually. It's around 36 crore. And out of that 36 crore, 3.5 crore, people have lost their jobs. In India, the number of people in the organized sector who have lost their jobs is around 4.2 crore, about 2 to 3 weeks ago, which was reported. So given this context, I wanted to explore what is the impact of COVID-19, the pandemic, on working professionals. So we had 3 research questions in this. I'll try to be as brief and fast as possible. How are professionals across industries getting affected by the pandemic? How does that impact translate to the academia locally? And what is the nature on this impact on the social welfare of faculty members who are working in the education industry? So with this, we wanted to first develop a grand typology. What is a typology? Typology is basically a classification framework. Here, a typology is basically an ontology through which we can visualize, we can understand what are the major themes or what are the major challenges that people who are working professionals, they are facing suddenly by this digital disruption. So for this, we had a mixed research method. One part of it is computational, which is using a lot of big data analytics for its entire research. The other part is predominantly a qualitative research methods, which focuses more on the the education sector per se. So what we did here was we started exploring, so using social media analytics for mining the user generated content. When people are tweeting about it, we wanted to collect that. So we collected that data for 4 months. For 4 months, we collected about, around 12 lakh tweets. Out of that 12 lakh tweets, we found that 1.4 lakh tweets are actual genuine tweets which we can use, which has got somewhat of a clean, more sanctity to it, which will stand the test of reliability and validity, as we call it in research. And then we analyzed these 1.4 lakh tweets, which were on the interface of COVID-19 and work challenges. So when we analyzed it, we came to basically 6 elements. I'll come to the 6 elements again. First, we tried to analyze the text using text mining. Is it possible to visualize these huge volumes of tweets which are talking about the challenges that people are facing in the work? When people are joining work, what are the challenges that they're facing across economies, people who are using English tweets? So we found that people are having problems surrounding salary, economic slowdown, jobs, then stress from jobs, future of work, pandemic is affecting the financials of the company. You might have heard, I'm not sure, some of you might have read that many of the companies are actually firing people who are on the bench for more than 30 days. So these are kind of things that are emerging when we are looking at the huge amount of text and doing some text mining on it. So when we're doing the text mining, we use 2 methods. One is called latent Dirichlet allocation. The other is basically word cloud out of the output that we're generating out of latent Dirichlet allocation. Subsequent to this, we wanted to find which of these concepts, which of these words are closely connected to each other so that we can find out themes. If you look at this small diagram, it is basically called as a network science. It is basically called as community detection. We could identify that which of these words closely resemble a theme. If I can find out which of the words closely resemble a theme, I can map it to a typology by looking at existing literature. And that is what we did. We found out that there are 6 major themes which are emerging out of the people who are talking of challenges in social media and out of people who are talking of all the issues that people are facing in work challenges. So the first issue that people are facing is the techno stress. It's a technical term. Techno stress is something that when somebody is suddenly enforced with intervention to move to digital platforms, to move towards digital transformation, he hasn't got really any, formal training to use such platforms. But unless he's using the platforms, the organization doesn't see value from his, interaction or from his engagement. This is what one of the major, findings that we found, that people are complaining about the techno stress. Then a lot of people are complaining about the lack of infrastructure at home. Infrastructure at home is basically of 2 types. One is technical infrastructure, the other is social infrastructure. Technical infrastructure is something like I need a laptop, I need a smartphone, I need equipment, bandwidth, broadband, so that I can connect with this kind of video conferencing. The other is social infrastructure. If I'm working from home, where do I keep my kid? If I'm working from home, who takes care of the balance between work life? So the lack of infrastructure is basically categorized into 2 components. What we found, one is computational infrastructure, the other is social infrastructure. The third thing, what we have identified, is basically called as turbulence in job deliverables. We saw that a lot of job deliverables changed overnight purely because the nature of platform changed. What they used to do versus what they're expected to do right now after the pandemic happened, that has changed overnight. I'll get into the details of how these changes have been manifested in the academic industry. Then there's been a problem of larger supply of skills versus the demand for skills. Suddenly the requirement for manpower has shrinked, and because of the shrinkage of manpower requirement, the supply is more people are actually ready for getting employed, they are more employable, so there is a misfit of the benefit of the demographic dividend that we had earlier envisioned. Then the other element that surfaced was that there is a lack of norms to protect the employee rights. Many of the employees across organizations, they are contractual employees, and as contractual employees, many of them don't have much of rights. And the 6th was job losses due to lower deliverable and engagement. So these are the 6 attributes or 6 typologies or parameters which were kind of impacting the working professionals. So to deep dive into it, there were two ways we could have gone. One way is going into inferential research. The other way, which I'm talking about right now, is when we are actually going into a qualitative research to validate all this. So for the qualitative research, we basically undertook this study in the education sector where the sample had 7 school teachers, 5 college teachers, and 5 university faculty members. And all this data was collected from 17 different university, and all these different 17 faculty members were actually people who were fired. We started this using a snowball sampling in which first we identified 3 faculty members who have been fired, and then subsequently asked them, do you know of anybody else who have lost their jobs? And we wanted to get their perspective. We wanted to have a third party a perception when we are talking of this questionnaire development and survey instrument. So we asked them, do you feel COVID-19 has impacted your colleagues across institutions of similar type? And then we asked them, why do you feel your colleagues might be facing challenges in coping up with such a challenge and a change? So we found that technostress is definitely impacting academia hugely. Infrastructure challenges are huge because most of the academia, most of the teachers, they stay outside the campus. They don't have good internet facilities to do this working from homes, webinars, and teach students from the class. A changing nature of deliverable was earlier, most of the deliverables were surrounding academic administration and teaching. Suddenly, they are being evaluated in terms of the productivity in research publication, which was kind of, silently evaluated now that has been more proactively pushed. And even as an editor in some of the journals, I see that suddenly the number of submissions have increased a lot. A lot of desk rejections has also increased as a result of that. Then another major impact that has been seen is that there is a lot of competition from the practice, from the industry, especially in some of the industry oriented courses like engineering and management. A lot of the teachers are facing that there are a lot of practitioners who would want to join the academia after they have had the stint in the industry, and that is actually creating a lot more stress on the academia, purely because there are complementary skill set that has been nurtured when somebody grows in the industry versus somebody grows in academia. And of course, the other big problem that people have been facing is surrounding, the lack of best practices and lack of protection of jobs. A lot of people in the academia are facing challenges surrounding suddenly they are asked to take leave. They are being suddenly asked that for 6 months you go for a sabbatical, unpaid sabbatical, and then we will call you back. And in this 6 months, you demonstrate that you have some exclusive value for the institute that you are, employed in. So these are some of the impacts that we found out when we established that, like, what are the challenges in academia? So what has this created? This has increased the stress among a fragile community. It has increased the turnover intention and service quality impacts. More impact is actually created on the junior colleagues who have just joined, people who are at the level of assistant professor, people who are at the level of senior lecturers or lecturers. They are facing this problem much more. And this is a sustainability issue for academia as a whole. So this COVID, how it has impacted, is going to stay for some time unless we bring in some kind of intervention, we introduce some kind of supportive ecosystems, more support from the employers during these lean times. Probably that can be done through multi-stakeholder engagement workshops. We can sensitize the parents. Many of the parents, just like it has been said that if I can do the education from online, why should I pay 15 lakhs? I can do it for 5 lakhs. But some sensitization of the students, sensitization of the parents of students, that is required at this point of time. And these are some of the findings that we could identify from the study, in which we combine two methods. We combine, user-generated content, and we combine interviews for deep diving into an industry. With this, I'll, stop my talk. It's 12 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Arpan. A really fantastic presentation. And a small request from all of us here. from ORSI on behalf of Professor Patnaik and from Keat family. Whenever you are free, please have a full session of 90 minutes for the benefit of scholars here. I know that you are very busy. Whenever you are free, we can arrange a special solo presentation on behalf of ORSI or Keat family or both. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think you are waiting for the next meeting. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Thank you so much.